Welcome back to the Life Coach Lounge. This is your host, Leroy. I am by myself today, and I'm going to reflect on episode 1 and add some of my personal experiences and just talk a little bit about some of the themes that came up when I had the opportunity to interview Coach Ruby Rhed. And that conversation was rich and full of information and experiences that I hope the listeners could relate to in one way or another. I hope that they were able to um, have some takeaways as far as how coaching is helpful. And that's kind of some of the stuff that I want to touch on today. I thought it was so cool to hear Ruby say at one point, coaching has changed my life. And that is something that deeply resonates with me. It's it's something that I relate to, uh, and I'm right there with her when she says that, and yet I know that my experience is different, and there may be some similarities, there may be some overlap because we're both certified coaches that are continuing our education, and we're training and we're finding our skills over time, and we also are showing up in the client role and being coached by other coaches, and so we see both perspectives, and this is our profession, our career. But it's the unique experiences that we have on an individual level that makes all of it so different, even though we both feel similarly or almost identically that coaching has changed our lives. And so I just want to sit with that for a minute and start to unpack that. I think a question that I imagine people have when they hear someone else say that is, what does that even mean? Coaching has changed your life? And I think the only way that we can really talk about that is through our individual experiences. And so I'll start with sharing a little bit about who I am and how it's changed my life. I started showing up to coaching sessions and realizing that that was time and space that was reserved for me. And I quickly found out that the focus was about me. And I'm talking about when I'm in the client role, just to give you a little bit more context. When I'm in the client role, that time is for me. That hour is for me. And the coach is being trained and has skills like using powerful questions to guide the conversation that always make it about me. And one of the most beautiful aspects of the coaching session is that we show up and we start peeling back the layers of who we are. I think on an individual level, we all have questions, like big questions about life, about reality, about um our experiences, about what makes things so frustrating to me. Where is it that I truly find joy and happiness? Why am I struggling to connect with a friend that you know, that I used to be able to connect with on a deeper level? What changed? How how is it that I'm going to go about getting this promotion at work? Where is this self doubt coming from? And I'm just like throwing these out there. These are just like random things that I think we all ask ourselves from time to time. And I also think with how we get stuck in our routines and our habits and our patterns, sometimes these questions come up. And because it's go, 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 business as usual, I think we have a tendency to push those questions aside. We don't sit with them. We don't create time and space for them. That's exactly what the coaching session is for. So the coach is kind of asking you questions about yourself that allows you to peel back the layers, to dig really, really deep, like much deeper than, you know, maybe we're doing on a regular basis or if at all. And we start to understand as we think through, why am I in the predicament that I am? Why haven't I gotten the promotion? And it's more about us. It's the focus on yourself. What is it that I could be doing to get the promotion? And all of a sudden, you have this time and space reserved for you. Someone's you're expressing that this is actually the thing that's been underneath the surface that you've been pushing to the side. And now you're unearthing it. All these emotions are coming to the surface, and you're starting to analyze and identify certain patterns of behavior. And you're also being asked questions that challenge you to think about, what if I changed a few things? What if I really started to shake things up? And this is where it gets, really scary, but also really exciting, because all that stuff that we push to the side, all the stuff that we push under the rug, it's just there for you to see. And not only that, it was actually Coach Ruby Rhed that I spoke to recently, the same person that I interviewed in episode 1, that reminded me of what it is that coaches do for the clients, which is hold space for the types of conversations that allow clients to not only pull the things out from under the rug and to bring those things that they pushed off to the side into the coaching session, but they create a space of non-judgment. They create a space of support. They create a space of encouragement. And when you start to create an environment where someone feels safe enough to explore those things, because some of those things that they push under the rug could be really hard to deal with. That's why you did it in the first place. You start to realize that the person feels comfortable, they feel safe, they feel welcome to talk about these things, they don't feel judged for it. And they also start to see that this is who they are, this is their journey, and there's no comparing themselves to anyone else anymore, because they feel that they are able to accept themselves and their circumstances. And so you can start to talk about these things and you can say, yeah, I really am struggling to get this promotion. And so I'm so happy that you asked me these questions, because now I can think about, what is it that I would be open to changing, that I would be open to experimenting with, to see how much control do I really have. And what I've come to find out, and I think a lot of other people come to find out, is you have more control than you could have ever imagined. And that's where this idea of clients becoming really empowered, um, through having these conversations, and then being encouraged to go out in the world and experiment and play and test and make changes, shake things up. And one of the great things about a long-standing coaching relationship is that when you start developing this relationship with your coach, this partnership, um, and you're collaborating with them, and you're coming back to the drawing board after having gone out into the world after one session and then the next one, and you come back, is you get to talk about what you learned. And all of a sudden, you're creating a new practice, a new routine of having a very specific type of conversation that is um, that allows you to change things up. And then when you go out in the world and you actually do that, like you change your behavior, or you cultivate a type of mindset that influences you to do something differently, um, you feel different kind of emotions, and you come back and you learn more about yourself, you learn more about who you were and who you are now as these changes take place. And when you take all that into account, that's really what it means when we talk about transformation. Because over time, sometimes at a slower pace, sometimes at a really fast pace. It depends on how much you're willing to change, and um, there's a lot of factors that go into that. But the point is your life is transforming, and you're taking an active role in that transformational process. And the coaching is not the only tool for this type of work, for transformative type of work, but it is a very powerful tool. And so when I hear someone like Coach Ruby Rhed say from the first podcast episode, coaching has changed my life, this is how I understand it. And so I can relate to her. And I share this because this has been my experience. Um, I've had the opportunity to show up as in the client role and speak about all the self doubt and fears around growing my own business. And I have only seen positive benefits from that. My life has only gotten better because I continue to show up and learn from everything that I'm doing. And where I think when I was younger, I would just throw my hands up and walk away. And I had more of a fixed mindset where I just would convince myself that I'm just not meant to be a coach. That no longer exists. And coaching has changed my life. And this is where I now show up to coaching and I talk about the things that really challenge me. I talk about the self doubt that creeps in, but I don't run away from it anymore. And I I've realized that the more vulnerable I can be, the more insight I can gain from my own experiences. And again, when you're working with the right people and you're working with a coach and they're creating that space that I talked about earlier, and you're reserving that time and space for yourself and they're holding space for you, you feel good to show back up and talk about those things because you realize that to some degree, yes, they are scary, but it's every part of this process, my unique process in this too, and sharing about like me trying to build my business and continue to develop as a coach. um, I'm going to be challenged at every step along the way. There's going to be a challenge, um, and I'm going to learn from them. And it's the coaching sessions that kind of give me that extra, I don't know, the extra boost, the extra, I don't know, like I want to say advantage, but it's not an advantage. It's just because I'm the one that has to show up and still do the work. But it's just an incredibly powerful tool that allows you to prioritize your growth and development. It allows you to reinforce a growth mindset. And so all this is to say, and this is just from her quote, right? Coaching has changed my life. This is how it changes lives. I'm no longer a person that's going to believe that I'm just not meant to do something. I'm going to continue to confront the things that challenge me. I'm going to analyze my experiences, and I'm going to just pick apart every little piece of it and say, what is there to learn from this? If my goal is to get to this point, then what are all these little things that I have to do in between to get there? And yeah, it's such a wild ride. And I can't imagine a life without coaching now. And this we're getting close to the end of this segment here, but just from her saying that coaching has changed my life, I just wanted to like pull that out of episode 1 and talk about that and sit with that here because I wanted to share a little bit about how I view that, why I can relate to it, and what that means to me specifically, because it's going to be very different from person to person. And I think as I start to interview more people and other coaches, uh, when we hear their story and we talk about coaching, I think you're going to hear this come up again. And I'm going to want to ask those people too, give us your version. Let's hear let's hear a little bit about your experiences. When you say it's changed your life, tell us a little bit about that, because I think um, that's what's going to help us all connect and relate to one another and realize that our individual experiences are so unique, and yet we can all benefit from coaching. And so I don't know. I think that's good for today. I appreciate you tuning in. This is episode 2, Life Coach Lounge. Coming very soon. I do have another guest coming on, and we're going to record an episode. So uh, keep a lookout for that one. I'll keep you updated along the way. And I appreciate all of your love and your support. And I look forward to putting more content out there, creating awareness, and just I don't know, motivating and inspiring. So I appreciate you all. Take care.